They drummed you right out of Hollywood. So, you come crawling back to Broadway. Well, Broadway doesn't go for booze and dope. Now get out of my way, because I got a man waiting for me. Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you enjoyed my little intro into this video with my Helen Lawson impersonation. If you're familiar with the movie Valley of the Dolls, I'm sure you got that. I wanted to do a whole skit, but I just didn't really have the energy. It's very hot today to put on all those wigs. But I did add a little more hairspray to my coif today. And I have my Barely Pink lipstick. I would say that my type is definitely the Ann Wells type of the female characters of Valley of the Dolls, especially just, my style. But I do adore all the others, and I just rewatched the movie and absolutely loved it. But before I get to Valley of the Dolls, I wanted to mention a couple things. One, I do apologize. I will not be at Dark Ink today. The event will probably be over by the time I edit this video and get it up on YouTube. But I was planning on going, but I just got a new dog. And if you stick around to my Daily Lucky, she'll be included. Her name is Lena, so there will be a Daily Lena along with Lucky, and she's adorable. And I just adopted her a couple days ago, and I wanted to spend as much time helping her and Lucky adjust as much as possible. I didn't want to leave her for 6 or 7 hours. And I wasn't scheduled to be part of the event. I just was going as a fan and a guest. Another thing I wanted to mention was my Trash Tales came in the mail. This is Criminale Presents Trashy Tales, and I do have, an anthology of trashy fiction, sorry. I love this cover, it's really fun. They did an excellent job on this book, and make sure you order your copy. All of the proceeds goes to charity, Dolly Parton's charity. I'm gonna write that here because I don't really remember the exact name, but yeah, it goes to a good cause. And my story is called A Natural Porn Killers, and it is in dead center of this book. And one thing I really like about the way this is put together, and I think this is very unique, I don't remember ever seeing this, but they have key for content. So each story has a little key, whether it's sci-fi, horror, Western, bizarro, crime. Mine is sci-fi. And it also gives the time limit. Like this story will take 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to read, or 20 minutes to read. Which is great because, when I've got dinner in the oven and I just have maybe 20 minutes to read something while I'm waiting for it to cook, I'll open this book and read a story. And I think that is great because sometimes you don't know, not that we don't read at different speeds, but you don't know if you're going to be able to finish the story in one sitting, is what I'm trying to say. And I thought that was a really nice touch. So what I've been doing with this is just trying to read a story a day and work my way through this, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So definitely pick up your Trash Tales. I also had a little mini haul at the thrift store yesterday. Again, I didn't spend hardly any money on these books, and I was happy to get them. So I thought I would go over these just quickly before we get into Valley of the Dolls, or we enter the Valley of the Dolls. This was only for $4.49, a beautiful illustrated copy of Clive Barker's Aberrant, I think is how you pronounce it, Days of Magic and Nights of War, Book 2. I have Book 1, and I have not read this yet. This is a young adult series, and there's a lot of his own artwork, Clive Barker's original artwork involved in these books. And I feel like I really want to read both volumes now that I found this other one. But really beautiful stuff, fully illustrated. So I was so happy to find the next book in the series. I know there's a novel because I have it, and I just haven't, I think I did read the first couple chapters. There is a novel version, and I think graphic novels, all kinds of things in this world. So, I love Clive Barker. I've been wanting to get back into reading more Barker, so I think that's a good one. Once I finish all this Garbaugust stuff, there's always stuff to read. This one I was really happy to find in the thrift store. This is Snuff by Chuck Palahniuk. I never know how to say his name. And I've never read anything by this author who's so popular and has such an incredible following, but it looks really fun, and it's a short read, so I think this would be a good, once I finish Valley of the Dolls, to read this next for shock value. All right, let's see what this book is about. I'm very curious. In the crowded green room of a porn movie production, hundreds of men mill around in their boxers, awaiting their turn with the legendary Cassie Wright. An aging adult film star, Cassie intends to cap her career by breaking the world record, oh my God, for serial fornication by having sex with 600 men on camera, one of whom may want to kill her. Okay, I think that record was broken recently, wasn't it? I didn't seek this information out, but if you're online, it comes to you. So yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy this. And then this book, just because it looked really good, it's called The Ghostwriter by John Harwood. I think I've heard of this book, and it kind of looks like something I'd want to read this fall. Gerard is a timid librarian whose only real friend is his pen pal, a beautiful Englishwoman named Alice, who is sadly confined to a wheelchair after a horrific car accident. They've been sending passionate letters to each other since they were 13, but they never actually met. In fact, Alice refuses to let Gerard come to visit her. Does she have some connection to Gerard's creepy, semi-insane mom, who's also English, and to those Victorian horror tales that Gerard keeps stumbling across? What's she hiding anyway? The answers are yes, yes, and wait and see. That sounds really good. Oh, and this one I picked up for Garbaugust, and I just couldn't resist. I like having hardback copies of some of these types of books, and this is Jude Deveraux, The Temptress. Good condition, nice short read. And the last one I picked up was The Mist by Stephen King, the, I guess you would say, novella. I've seen the movie and I really enjoyed it. This also seems like a good fall read. I'm getting in the mood for fall, but we are still in Garbaugust, so we're going to talk about dolls, dolls, dolls. I finished reading this. Again, thanks to Patrick for sending it to me. I thoroughly loved this book. It was all about the inside and outside of not only, well, it says deep inside the Valley of the Dolls. Yes, it went deep. And it was great. It was really great. I learned some things I didn't know about the movie and Jacqueline Suzanne. I read her biography, Lovely Me, and she's a fascinating character. And I love this. And it had photos from the film. Here's the infamous wig snatch. I think I got the pantsuit for this pretty right. And it also dispelled the rumor that Garland walked off the picture stealing the pantsuit, the infamous pantsuit designed by Travia, the wonderful fashion designer. And then she used it in her Carnegie Hall performance. Now, this book said that he let her keep the wardrobe. I like to think she walked off with it because to me, that's so much more showbiz. And this book and this story is all about showbiz. Jacqueline Suzanne came from a world of New York and showbiz, and she tried very hard to be an actress. She did television. She really tried to break into the business and didn't have a lot of success. She had breast cancer, and she walked out into the park one night and sat on a park bench and prayed to God to give her 10 more years. God, give me 10 more years. Let me make something of myself. And she did. She really did. Now, this book was considered terrible writing. It was panned by the critics, but it sold like gangbusters. Same with the movie. The movie was horrifically panned. It was a joke. The book follows a pretty familiar formula that is very successful and that's still being used today, of a group of women, young women, come into the big city and they meet up as friends and they room together, and they're very different types, but they share experiences of the big city and all their romances, their career paths. It's great. Now you could say, well, a book and film, which I also love, The Best of Everything, which was earlier, it was in the 50s, covers that. And that gets into a very kind of controversial subjects too, with like premarital sex and abortion and things like that. So this book is really in that vein, but I think what set it apart and made it so controversial is it gets into some sexuality. I mean, they have abortion in here too, but it also gets into sapphic love, which Jacqueline Suzanne was, at least I would say, bisexual. She had an infamous obsession with the Broadway star Ethel Merman, where she was banging on Ethel's door at 2 o'clock in the morning screaming, "Ethel, I love you." You know, this is all documented in her biography and also this book. So the way she describes sex between women is much different. For her, that's a much more fulfilling experience than sex with men, even though she was married to this guy Irving for like ever, and they seem to have a great relationship. But sex with men in this book is described much differently, and it's kind of just like something you have to grit your teeth and bear, you know, and a lot of them do. So I think that this book was controversial because of that, and the way it talks about drugs, you know, using uppers and downers and booze and all of that. So it's great. A show like Sex and the City, and I just watched the last episode of And Just Like That, and my God, what a shit show. If you've seen it, you know I'm being literal there. I loved all that. Yes, that show wasn't that good, but I didn't even hate watch it. I just watched it because I found it really entertaining. Sex and the City is the same kind of formula as Valley of the Dolls. So it's a great formula. And people say she's a bad writer. I disagree. If a book can pull you in and make you care about the characters and love the characters, that's good writing, in my opinion. Like, maybe she's not, you know, Dickens or something, but she doesn't have to be. And she had great self-belief, and she also really knew how to promote her work because she knew showbiz. She would show up in her Poochie and her falls and her lashes and do public appearances. She has a small cameo in the film I noticed her Chanel suit, and she was great. That's what Irving always said about her husband. Isn't Jackie great? She knew the settings. And that's the thing I think also comes through with her novel. When you're in a seedy Broadway dressing room, you know that she experienced that. She was there. You can feel it. It's in the texture of the story. Now, this is a period piece. This takes place, the book, in the 40s, like post-war. So it's a bit of a different world. In the book, in the movie, we're in the swinging 60s, which is also fabulous. So I wanted to, before I talk about the movie, just give a brief little reading of a scene from the book that I find very interesting and kind of harrowing. Okay, so here's a little snippet of Valley of the Dolls. This is Helen Lawson speaking to Anne. Now, Helen is based on Jacqueline Suzanne's big crush, apparently, Ethel Merman. And she was kind of getting her revenge here because Ethel Merman ghosted her after Jackie was banging on her door at 3 a.m. Anne is the sweet and innocent one, but with the classy good looks, who comes from Massachusetts, from a good family. And immediately, this very wealthy man, would be like a billionaire today, asks her to marry him. He proposes, gives her a huge ring, 3-carat diamond, and she's wearing it, but she knows that she doesn't want to marry him because she's in love with the handsome Lion Burke, who's a bit of a cad, shall we say. So in this scene, Helen is giving it to Anne straight. Helen says, "You think you're classy acting this way. You wear a guy's ring and leap in the feathers with that limey and fuck me up with Gino. Sure, he thinks we're the same kind. He's afraid to see me now, afraid I'll hurt him like you hurt his son. What I did with Alan has nothing to do with you and Gino. Then why isn't he here? He dug me pretty good. I can tell. We had laughs together. If it wasn't for you throwing yourself at Lion Burke, he'd be here with me now. I've lost a guy I love because you're a little tramp." Anne dashed across the room and grabbed her coat. "Where do you think you're going?" Helen asked, refilling her glass. "Any place, just to get away from you." "Ha!" Helen sneered. "Honey, you got no place to go but down. Do you think anyone cares about you? You and your prissy blue nose." I guess she means like blue blood. "At least I'd come out and call a spade a spade. But you played it the great lady. Sure, As long as you wore that diamond, you were someone. I put up with you. I figured you must have something if Alan Cooper wanted you. It was your only claim to fame. You're nothing now. Just another broad who's been bald by Lion Burke. In a way, it's kind of true. Like, not saying that Anne deserves to be treated like that, but this is like what life was like for these young women. You had to get that guy before you were considered like too old or too used up. And that's really what this book is about, are these characters, these women, and how they're treated. And some of them turn out really hard, like Helen Lawson, or she has the, as she calls it in the movie, her hard inner core that helps her survive and become this Broadway star. There's a lot of references in the book to her bloat, her weight, all of these neuroses, that's part of this world. Now, I think maybe a younger reader today would see this and be like, really, like maybe, oh God, it's offended by it, but it was kind of the world. And like I said, I'm not saying it's changed that much. Maybe there's a veneer of acceptance. But when you dig down, I think there's a lot of truth to this story. And it's very much a woman's story by a woman author. And it's great. So the movie, which I'll briefly talk about a little bit, here's the DVD. I love the pink color. This has all kinds of great features in it, lobby cards. Here's Neely in the nut house. Here's Anne and Lion Burke visiting Neely in the nut house. Oh my God, this crazy scene. This is Helen Lawson doing her I'll grow my own tree number with this bizarre Calder mobile kind of wheeling around. And then here's all three of the women. And of course, we have Patty Duke, Sharon Tate, and Barbara Parkins, with Helen Lawson being played by Susan Hayward, a great Hollywood actress. Originally, Judy Garland was cast in the role, which is ironic because Neely O'Hara, the character Neely O'Hara, the self-destructive young ingenue, played by Patty Duke in the movie, is supposedly based on Judy Garland. So we had Helen was based on Merman, and Neely on Garland, and the Jennifer role, the beautiful role that Sharon Tate plays, Marilyn Monroe, and then of course Ann Wells is an insert for Jacqueline Suzanne herself as the central character. Anne is like the central character who is the innocent, observing all of these people having these crazy lives, and then she herself gets caught up in the Valley of the Dolls and she starts doing drugs to cope. So yeah, it's a great story. It's a wonderful movie, and you can't watch this and see how beautiful Sharon Tate is without, in the back of your mind, knowing what happened to her and how she was horribly slaughtered by the Manson family just a few years after this movie was wrapped. And it's horrible. It's really absolutely horrible. She's so beautiful, and she's actually very good in this. And then of course there's Lee Grant in a really creepy role, Miriam, who is the sister of Tony, the lounge singer, who's married to Jennifer, played by Sharon Tate. And she's a really weird character. It's a very bizarre film, and wonderful. And if you really want to go into some bizarre world, watch Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which really has nothing to do with this story, except for the title. And the book gets into, Dolls gets into that whole thing. But that is a crazy movie. Total, if you're into camp, you've got to watch that movie. And of course, the best camp in the world is the camp that is unintentionally camp. If you watch a John Waters movie or play or something, or anything by Charles Busch, whom I love all that stuff, or Pee Wee Herman, any of that, they're doing camp, but they know it's camp. And it's wonderful. But the best camp, and I think they would agree with this, is the camp that is like Valley of the Dolls, that's unintentionally bad. They're trying their best, and it's so bad it's good. It's like Mommy Dearest. Faye Dunaway's performance as Joan Crawford. Also, Joan Crawford was in contention for the part of Helen Lawson, which would really be amazing. I think she would have done a wonderful job. I don't know if Judy Garland could be mean enough for that role, but she was also a great actress. So yeah, it would have been fun to see it. But she was fired because she just wasn't showing up on the set, and she would just be in her dressing room all day, and it's pretty sad. But yeah, you can see I love this film and I love this book. I'm very enthusiastic about both. So I will wrap it up by saying I will finish Valley of the Dolls probably this weekend, and then I'll try the Chuck Palahniuk book, because I think I have room to squeeze in one more shocking book. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if you love Valley of the Dolls as much as I do, and let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them. So thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.